In today's video, we will be taking a look at day 4 of this very long and disastrous midterm election for the Republican Party. We'll be taking a look at what exactly went wrong for Republicans, as we have about 98 to 99% of the votes in across the United States, except for the state of California. So I'm going to get right into today's video. Now, first off, looking at the Senate, it's still 49-49, but it looks like that Adam Laxalt or Catherine Cortez Masto, looks like Masto is probably going to be ahead by like 1,000 in the initial count. We'll have to see what the second round results, the recount, will take us to. And for the state of Georgia, if Democrats win this race, then this race won't matter as much. However, if Democrats lose this race, then this Georgia runoff could decide the midterms yet again. So what exactly went wrong? This is today's topic. If we look at the 2020 election results, we can see a trend here. Now, there's a lot of states that shifted heavily Republican or heavily Democrat, but we'll focus on the swing states. First off, in the state of Nevada, we do not have all the votes in, so there is not that good of a comparison. We can see that the area is closer to Washoe, trending towards the Republicans, Clark County trending towards the Republicans, but a couple of these rural counties trending to the Democrats. So just based on this, it's really hard to tell if Democrats are going to win or is Adam Laxalt able to win, because Biden won the state by 2.4%. Republicans are improving in Clark County by 2.5%, but Democrats are improving in some of these rural counties. In the end, it will depend on Washoe County, but based on this, Republicans didn't do that poorly in Nevada. Adam Laxalt ran a decent campaign. It does pay off here. You can see that this is still a hair-raisingly close race. Now going to the state of Arizona. Blake Masters associated himself way too much towards Donald Trump. Arizona is not a state in which Republicans typically want to associate to the Trump name, and he just did that way too much. Looking at the counties that have fully reported, terrible for the Republicans. The minimal, I think, Democratic trend was in Santa Cruz, 3.1% for Mark Kelly. And in some of these rural counties, for example, Gila County, although only with 20,000 votes, 7.7 trend towards the Democratic Party compared to the 2020 election results. Going to Greenlee County, 17-point trend towards Mark Kelly. We are not talking about big counties here, but this is exactly the problem. Republicans did not turn out in mass numbers. They didn't really turn out at all. They were turning out at very narrow numbers, and that did not help them win the state of Arizona. Graham County, 7 points towards Mark Kelly. Yaphanli County with over 100,000 voters. Again, a 5-point trend towards the Democrats. This was the problem. The counties were trending towards the Democrats, and in reality, these are states that Republicans already lost in the last presidential election. They didn't need to make up much ground, but they needed to make up some ground. And Mark Kelly actually expanded. That's not what you want to have as a Republican. Looking at the by-winner results here, Maricopa County with over 80% of the results in, Mark Kelly is still overperforming Joe Biden by 5 points and himself in 2020 by 3. That is, again, not what you actually want to see, given that Mark Kelly's lead in Maricopa County over the last 24 hours or 48 hours has actually expanded. Again, not what you want to see in the state of Arizona. Now going to the state of Wisconsin. Now, Ron Johnson did do better than Donald Trump. He did better in some of the rural counties. The big problem is that he didn't do well. Like, he didn't overperform by Donald Trump by that much. Dane County, the largest Democratic stronghold, Democrats still improved. Milwaukee, the largest county in the state of Wisconsin, Democrats still improved. Now, if you look at the rural areas, it's certain that Ron Johnson did improve in the rural areas. But the big problem is we are expecting a 5-point lead for Ron Johnson. He only won by 1% in the state of Wisconsin. Not necessarily the best. Now, obviously, if you win a Senate race, you win it. That's a good thing. You gain a race in the Senate or you hold a Senate race. Especially if it's a competitive race, that helps. But if you actually look at the county-by-county results, they're not super promising for the Republicans, given that they were expected to do very well in Wisconsin. While they did do well, they did overperform Trump in 2016 and 2020. It wasn't by that much. He only overperformed Trump by 1.7 points in the state of Wisconsin, and he underperformed his 2016 performance, in which in that election, Democrats were actually favored. Democrats were actually expected to win in that election. So the next state, the state of Pennsylvania, a miserable performance for Mehmet Oz. Why was that the case? Some people say it's because that he associated himself too much with President Trump. Some people say that he associated himself too little with President Trump. Now, it really depends on how you see it, because Pennsylvania is a state that Trump was able to do very well in 2016 and 2020, despite losing that state. He was a reason why the state narrowed down from a lean to likely Democratic state to now a toss-up state. But here's the problem. Mehmet Oz didn't really demonstrate either. He did not demonstrate that he was going to align himself with Trump all the time. He did not demonstrate that he was going to associate himself with someone closer to Mitt Romney. He did not associate himself with a particular ideology, and that was the biggest issue. Voters sometimes saw him campaigning with Susan Collins up in the state of Maine. Sometimes he was campaigning with President Donald Trump. There was a mixed messaging, and that did not help the Republican Party in this case, because people were confused. What actually did you stand for? Just looking at the 2020 comparison here, a ton of the rural counties shifted towards the Democrats. That's not what you want. Also, turnout was very low in some of the rural areas as well, so it really did not help. And in the urban areas too, Democrats did improve in the urban areas as well. Democrats improved in Philadelphia County. They improved in Allegheny. They improved in the Philadelphia suburbs, though only by a little bit. The only county I think they underperformed in was the county of Chester by, get this, 0.5%. So, and two other smaller counties, but point is, Mehmet Oz did not do a very good job labeling himself. He basically said, look, I'm this moderate, and I'm also this pro-Trumper. That's not how you win an election. Also, he did not live in the state, and most people just didn't think he lived in the state long enough to run for the seat. Another state, looking at the state of New Hampshire, a disaster for the Republicans in the state of New Hampshire. Maggie Hassan was leading by a huge amount, and she was overperforming Joe Biden's numbers in most of the towns, which was concerning. Looking at the 2020 comparison, Maggie Hassan outran Joe Biden, who already won the state by 7 percentage points in every single county. That is not how you win a competitive election. She most notably did well in the larger cities. She did really well in Concord. She did really well in the Dover and Rochester area. She also did well in the Manchester area. Typically the swing county, she won that county by 8. Also the largest county by far in the state. And that really did not help the Republicans. Because of that, they largely lost this election. And looking at the two counties Donald Bolduc did win. Coos County, one county that he won by 400 votes. That's not going to help you win a state. And for Belknap County, this is a traditionally very Republican county. Again, he only won by 3,000 votes, not the most impressive performance. That was a big problem as well. Looking at some other states here. Now, Republicans did consolidate their margins in Iowa and Ohio. Ohio, J.D. Vance, however, was expected to do better. He was expected to win by a larger margin. And yet, Democrats largely overperformed in a lot of areas. Not to mention that there can still be mail-in ballots, I believe, coming in the state of Ohio days after the election. So if anything, Democrats could do even better than these results. What did we see? A huge Democratic trend in some of these rural counties. This reversed the 2020 trend made by President Donald Trump. Pike County, Jackson County, Pike County, really well known on the news because of the Pike County massacres, but whatever. You can see some of these counties closer to Wheeling, Wyoming, West Virginia. Again, some of these huge Democratic trends. Now, why was this not enough? Trump built a very good base in the state of Ohio. And Democrats, Tim Ryan, did not necessarily do that well in counties like Montgomery, counties like Cleveland, and counties like Columbus, where he needed to run up the margins. But he did do better than some past Democrats. Not past Democrats, but 2020's Biden performance, very well done in some of the rural areas. Now to the state of Iowa. Now, Iowa, Chuck Grassley did do better. He outran Biden by he outran Donald Trump in every single county except five actually, five. However, that was still not good enough for him. He was expected to win by a safe margin. Everyone had this race as a safe margin, yet he only won by 12. Now, 12 is a very good margin for Iowa. That being said, he should have done better. In fact, Kim Reynolds, in the governor's level, won by 20. In the state of Ohio, the governor's race also went to the Republicans by close to 25. Yet, Republicans didn't do that well in the Senate. So there was, in many states, that Republicans, many people split their ballots, which was largely unexpected. For example, looking at the state of Arizona, Blake Masters did not do that well of a job, and that Mark Kelly was a stronger candidate. Mark Kelly is currently leading by 6, and he's expected to win by that margin. In the governor's race, Democrats are leading, but this is not a called race. Katie Hobbs is not even leading by 1.5% yet. We also saw a split ballot in the state of Georgia. People were generally more eager to vote for Raphael Warnock, the incumbent senator, and people were generally also more happy to vote for someone like Brian Kemp. Why was that the case? I'm just going to look at a couple of these counties here. For example, in Union County, Stacey Abrams won that county, but only by 10%. How much did Warnock win it by? I actually don't know. I'm assuming by a lot more. Right, he won that county by 16 points. Another county, Henry County, Raphael Warnock won by 29 points. How much did Stacey Abrams win by? She won by 23. So there was a consistent underperformance by Stacey Abrams, while Warnock largely overperformed. Another split ballot state, for instance, Michigan was not on the ballot. We saw a split ballot in Nevada. Joe Lombardo, currently the projected winner in Nevada. Steve Sisolak lost by 2 points. But currently speaking, in the Nevada Senate race, we don't see that much, but although Adam Laxalt is leading in the state, he's only leading by less than 1,000 votes. Joe Lombardo is currently leading by more than 20,000. So there was a split ballot, and some candidates were stronger, some candidates were weaker, some candidates had ideologies that the state liked more. Some people think that this candidate can relate to me more. Some candidates simply didn't do that. That was the problem. Republicans didn't have a really united messaging. Trump did try, for example, to get out Lisa Murkowski. It looks like that he failed, but he funneled millions of dollars into that race. Altogether, not a result. So Trump should have done two things. Rather, if he really wanted to get rid of Lisa Murkowski, he should have had like a estimate that he would have succeeded. Right now, because of ranked choice voting, it looks like he has failed getting rid of Lisa Murkowski, and you wasted tens of millions of dollars on that race. Raise money that could have went to a state like Arizona, to a state like Pennsylvania, or a state like Nevada. And now, because Trump has spent tens of $millions in states that he did not do well, he did not get the outcome he wanted to. That is why Republicans, for example, in an eventual runoff, if Republicans win Nevada, Georgia could end up, Herschel Walker could end up running out of money, and that could be why Raphael Warnock wins. Because there was not a united message, two, not a really there were candidates who were very weak in some of these races. For example, Mehmet Oz was not the strongest candidate. Herschel Walker was not the strongest candidate. Though there was a huge opportunity for Republicans, they did not do well. The House, a similar story. Some of these races, Democrats really were defending some of these races. Republicans had huge opportunities, but they did not pick it up. For example, there were states that Republicans did have a good messaging and that they did pick up a lot of seats. The state of New York, they picked up 4 seats. 1 seat in the 17th district. Sean Patrick Maloney, someone who was expected to do very well, lost his seat. it was also a very notable seat because he was the chair of a committee did which does very well in House elections in New York. Democrats lost 2 seats, the 4th district and the 3rd district in the Syracuse area. They lost those 2 seats. They also lost a seat in the 19th. So Democrats lost 4 seats in the state of New York because there was a good messaging by the Republicans, and they're on track to hold up to the 22nd district. The only Democratic seat that they held on that was competitive was the 18th seat held by Pat Ryan. Republicans really only lost the state of New York in the House of Representatives by 4 seats. That was really impressive. And they also did very well in Florida, though that was a gerrymandered state. They were able to hold on to every single seat that they were expected to end up flipping. For example, they were expected to flip Florida's 13th. They successfully did that. They were expected to flip Florida's 7th. They successfully did that. They were expected to flip Florida's 2nd. They also successfully did that. So they did well in Florida. But what were states that they did not do well in? For example, currently it doesn't look very good for them in a state like Illinois. Sure, they were only expected to win in districts like Illinois 17th, but they did not win, which was a problem. Another problem, some of the candidates that really had controversy. For example, Lauren Boebert. Lauren Boebert currently winning her race by 0.4. She was expected to win by 17, according to the New York Times, a Democratic-leaning website. Not the best thing. The Republicans were heavily expected to win Arizona's 1st district. The Republican there is currently trailing the Democrat. That is not good. And I can just show you that Colorado's 3rd district is in this column called Republicans expected to win easily. Guess what? Lauren Boebert is in a fight for her life. That's really bad in the state of Colorado. Another good example of Republicans really losing a lot of the ground, Ohio's 9th district, a district that lost by 3% in the 2020 presidential election. Guess what? J.R. Majorski lost by 14 points in Ohio's 9th district. This was an embarrassing loss, as he was expected to lose by many people. I actually expected him to win, but he lost by 14. People expected him to lose by 2. Again, this was bad. Ohio's 13th district. Republicans thought they had a good map. Well, guess what? They also was not able to flip Ohio's 13th district. Another big problem, Ohio's 1st district. The incumbent there, Steve Chabot, many people expected to win. He did not win that seat. That was also a problem for the Republicans. They were not able to hold on to some of their crucial seats. Thus, they might not gain the House of Representatives. They're currently only leading by 10 seats for the fight for House control. Democrats, although there was of all odds of holding on, they could still possibly hold this on if they hold all the seats that they're currently leading in, plus like 1 or 2 seats, they could actually hold the House. In fact, if you look at the tracking the most competitive districts, Democrats have won 32, Republicans have only won 14. Given that Democrats need a lot more to actually win the House, this isn't that bad for GOP, but it's still not good. Anyways, thanks for watching today's video. Be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Bye.